Hi, guys, and welcome to the Reaper Paranormal Show. Today we are discussing Bill Ramsey, the South End Werewolf. Stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome to the Reaper Paranormal Show. I am your host, Tom, and today I am joined by my favorite RPI team member, Shay. What's going on, Shay?
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm good, I'm good. Very
So,
excited for the Southern Werewolf.
yeah, me too, me too. So everybody knows Roy is not with us today. He will be back next week when we discuss the Cecil Hotel. But he will not be here today, so it's just me and Shay. So, yeah, got a really good episode for you guys. The South End Werewolf, Bill Ramsey. It's a really cool story. I didn't know too much about it until, like, I'd heard a little, here and there, and then Shay suggested that we discuss it. And, yeah, it's a really, really, really cool story. So I'm really looking forward to this episode. Before we jump in, I'd like everybody, if you are liking our show, please subscribe to our channel, The Reaper Paranormal Show. It's on all podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Apple, iHeartRadio, Spotify. We're everywhere on all the podcatchers. Check us out. You can also check us out on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The parent company is Geek Perspective, but we have a lot of our paranormal stuff on there as well. And so make sure you subscribe and check us out. And if you like the videos, please like them and leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Feedback, anything you would like us to talk about. If you have any questions, you can also shoot us a private message on any of the social media sites or at parareaper01@gmail.com. And yeah, we'll help you out. So, today is episode 16. We are discussing the South End Werewolf. So, I'm going to throw it to you, Shay.
Do you want me to start talking about it? How do you want to do this?
Yeah, wherever you want to. Oh, I'm sorry.
There's a point a little bit later in the story, and something I just kind of want to bring up before we really jump too far into it, because it seems wrong to me. It seems like something's off, and I want to see if you got the same thing. Mm-hmm. So at some point in time later in his life, he is placed in cuffs and put in a police car because of something that had happened. I'm not going to get too much into detail, but they recommend he is recommended by a doctor that was at the police station to go to a hospital for observation, and he declined, and they took him home.
Yes. I found that very problematic, to say the least, when I read that, because apparently in the article that I read, that he was calm enough at that point to go home.
Yeah, I feel like if that's recommended, that's something that should probably happen.
Yeah, I thought that was weird too, and it was like, I don't understand. I don't understand that, because he was.
It was so weird. But all right. So I mean, the whole thing starts when he's 9 years old, in 1952. He's 9 years old, and this is where he has his first episode. And reading about this, and really just trying to think about how big a 9-year-old is. They're not very big. they're small little guys, and so he starts having an episode. He remembers feeling cold, and then all of a sudden he started just getting full of rage, and he lashed out, and he literally ripped a fence post out of the ground at 9 years old with fence still attached to it, and then began swinging it around at 9 years old. That's crazy, but
insane to me when I was reading this. I was just like, what now? Did you see what else he did with that fence?
Yeah, the thing with his, put it in his mouth and like started like chewing on it.
Yeah, like gnashing and gnawing to the point where parents just ran in the house and locked the doors. Like they were just so freaked out because, first of all, like you said, like a 9-year-old. Like I think about when I was not when I remember getting a physical going into high school, and I was like 13 at the time because I was a little younger. I think I was 4'8", 88 pounds.
Yeah.
So to think about ripping out a fence post and with fence and just like swinging it around like that at 9 years old, that's incredible.
Yeah. No, it's, I couldn't even, 9 years old. His parents, I can't even imagine, must have been so scared. But so he started gnawing on the fence, and they said after he was done with that episode, his mouth was bloody. Some things say he had some teeth missing, some say he didn't, but whatever it is, his mouth was all bloody and cut up from eating this fence. It's just crazy. But he would go after this, so he would go 15 more years with no incidents.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I don't know, that's just crazy. But
yeah, it is. And another thing too, like they said, I wasn't clear whether it was happening while the fence was, he was gnashing and gnawing on the fence, or afterwards when the mouth was all bloody, but he was growling too.
Yeah.
That's just, it sounds rabid. Right off the bat, it just sounds rabid.
It does. It really does. He also says he remembers a foul smell, and some of the stuff I read says that the parents remember a foul smell too, like kind of accompanied with all the actions and whatnot.
Oh wow.
So I'll fast forward 15 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So when he is, so he got married. So 13 years from the first event, he actually got married. And for the first 2 years of his marriage, he ended up having horrible nightmares, and they were always the same. He was walking behind his wife, and she turned around, and when she saw him, she screamed and ran away from him, scared for her life. And he would have this dream all the time, wake up with the sweats and be really, just not really know what to make of it. Eventually, hold on. In 1967, the dreams actually finally stopped. And then he would have another 18 months, no incident, no anything.
So you have children, right? I didn't see any. Do we know what the breakdown was? Boys, girls? I didn't see that in any of the notes.
I couldn't find anything. Nothing. I thought one thing said he had a daughter, so I think he had at least one girl, but I don't know. Yeah,
I had read that they said he was a very doting father, and that's usually means that you at least would have one daughter if you're doting like that. Typically, when somebody says doting, there's a young female, but I didn't see that. I was just curious. It's all right.
Yeah, no, I couldn't find anything either. Like I said, I read one thing that said something about him having a daughter, but I don't know how many of them were daughters or anything. But so anyways, 18 months after the dream stopped, he woke up in the middle of the night. It's one night. He woke up in the middle of the night, covered in sweat, and he felt like there was a wild animal in his bedroom. He heard panting. He heard like a grumbly growl, and then he figured out that it was him. So yeah.
I was thinking about that, and it's like, so he woke himself up from like growling, huh, or something like I was trying to think about how you like at first you don't realize it's you. I guess it's like one of those times when you like snore really loud and like that'll happen to me. Like I'll snore really loud and wake up for a second, or something like that. So I was like, that's crazy.
Well, it almost read like he could still hear it after he woke up for a minute. Yeah. So that it was just weird.
Yeah, I thought that's why I was trying to clarify, because it kind of confused me, because it did seem like that it was still, he woke up and still hearing it, but if it's coming from him,
Yeah. So that kind of lays a little bit of claim to eventually Ed and Lorraine Warren would come to the conclusion that he is possessed.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the parts of being possessed is having another thing inside of you, having another entity inside of you. So it would stand to reason you could hear it, I guess, if it's,
Very true.
But so nothing else would happen for 15 more years. It's kind of funny that the 15-year thing keeps popping up too.
It was very cyclical in that sense, that it was just every 15,
he would end up going out to a bar with his friends, and he would be drinking a little, and then all of a sudden he would start feeling that familiar change happening. He would go to the bathroom. When he got into the bathroom, he looked in the mirror, and when he did that, looking back at him, he remembers there being a wolf. So he remembers seeing a wolf in the mirror looking back at him. His friends would take him out of the bar and head home. And they ended up having to pull over because he started going crazy and thrashing. And it said it took a lot of effort for them to get him out of the car, and they weren't able to do so until he actually finally calmed down.
Yeah. And I had read in there that in the car ride, and this seems to be a pattern with when he starts to feel that like icy coldness come over him, that his hands go into like claw style, like or even be described as a talon. And then I did see a picture of him doing it from the actual, because there's video of the thing with Ed and Lorraine and the exorcism or whatever, but him doing that he so in the car they looked like claws, and then he tried, it says tried to, so I'm assuming he wasn't successful. He tried to bite the leg of one of the friends in the car, is what I heard read. I was just like, again, immediately going to mind, it's like being rabid, but a person.
Yeah. Exactly. Honestly, that's exactly what it sounds like. Did you know, just because we brought Ed and Lorraine Warren up again, did you know that initially Ed Warren was skeptical of letting any of their help with him, to him, or for him going public, because he felt it would hurt their credibility because it's a werewolf?
I didn't know that. Yeah. That's very interesting.
So Lorraine really kind of had to kind of talk him into it, because he was really hesitant to make anything super public at all, and just kind of wanted to distance himself from it because he was scared it would hurt their credibility.
That's but I guess that's, like when you're getting into werewolves and vampires, that's like, for even some people that call themselves paranormal buffs, that that may sometimes be a step too far. They can believe in a ghost or some sort of entity, but now talk about lichens and vampires and stuff. It's so I guess that makes sense. I had not. That's very interesting.
Yep. So let me see where I was. Hold on. So, in about 18 months after that, so it's around Christmas time, he starts feeling chest pains, kind of concerned that he might be having a heart attack or whatnot. He ends up taking himself to the hospital. And in the hospital, while being assessed by one of the nurses, she was taking his blood pressure, and he attacked her, and he actually bit her. I don't mean to laugh. It's awful.
I know.
Bit her, but I'm picturing it, and it must have been quite the sight to see. So when people talk about seeing this happen, so they actually say that they saw his shoulders hunched forward. They said his lips and his face tightened as though he were getting ready to attack something. And again, the hands folding into claws or talons. He knocked everybody down that was in his way, and anybody who came in contact with him said that he was abnormally strong, like superhuman strong. I think that was.
So at that point,
yeah,
the officers got involved, and I wasn't sure if these were actual police officers or maybe hospital security, but
I think it was police.
It was police.
It said they were there by chance. So
because there was another incident with 4 cops as well in the following year, but in this one they said they got cuffs on him. That didn't stop them. So they the only thing that would stop them at that point was they got a tranquilizer in them, so some sort of sedative they were able to inject into him, and that was the only thing that got him to calm down from that sort of frenzy right there, is what I had read. So that's crazy, because cuffs, I mean, I don't know if you've ever been like handcuffed, especially if they're behind your back. It's hard to move. It really is hard to maneuver. And so like the fact that didn't stop this sort of crazed superhuman frenzy, it's shocking to me. I mean, I find that crazy. So
yeah. Well, and then again, even crazier, the next one he is assessed. He undergoes some testing, and then the doctor recommends that he stay for observation, and he doesn't want to, so he goes home again. I don't. Can you imagine that now? Like today, that would never happen. You would be.
Yeah.
Then they said it's because he went there voluntarily that they couldn't hold him, but I don't know.
Yeah, that just because he legit attacked a nurse, and it took all these cops to subdue him, and everything like that, and then just to let him go, like you would usually, like nowadays, that would be an automatic 72-hour hold. You would automatically, he would have, it's those. I've been on one of those holds before, and you got no rights when you're on a 72-hour hold. You are the property of the hospital, the state, whatever is overseeing it. You are that property for 72 hours, and you don't have a choice. Even if you come back in 24 hours and you're completely fine, they're keeping you those other 2 days for observations, no matter what. They're not. So it's. I mean, granted, it was what, like 1984-ish around that time. I guess it was
around there.
Yeah, so it's a different time, but it just seems mind-boggling in this day and age.
Well, multiple times though. This isn't the first time it happened, and like I feel like after a while, you'd see the guy and you'd be like, "Well, you're gonna stay now. It's less for you and more for everybody else that you're here now."
Yeah.
But so 60 days after that, he ends up having another attack. And it's after visiting his mother in, I believe, a nursing home, but I've also just seen visiting mother, so I'm not sure if she was in a nursing home or what it was. But he took himself back to the same hospital, and the attending nurse that was on was a bit intimidated by him, remembered him, very uncomfortable, and decided to tell him that she was going to go get a doctor, and he attacked her, pushed her down, and then attacked an orderly, and it took, he took down... So it took 4 police officers that just so happened to be there to detain him, but it wasn't until after he hospitalized one of them. He injured them so badly they were hospitalized for 4 more days.
4 days. 4 days. Yeah. And it took 2 tranquilizers that time. It took two sedatives to put him down that time. That's incredible.
So he was then taken to the police station. This is kind of what I was talking about earlier. He was taken to the police station, and it was recommended that he go back to, be in the hospital, stay for observation, check himself in somewhere to get help. He didn't want to, and he was brought home again. feel like there's such a default somewhere in the system.
Yeah,
It's so messed up.
it's just craziness. It's just like how many more people does he have to attack before they're just like, maybe we should figure out what's going on here. Like, I mean, oh.
So in 1987, he had kind of not really been, nothing had happened for a little while. And then 1987, he made a citizen's arrest of a teenage prostitute. And when they pulled him to the police station,
a citizen's arrest. I just the concept of a citizen's arrest just cracks me up, and I just think it's so funny that this dude actually tried to make a citizen's arrest.
Because I mean, what balls? Like, do you have? It's just like, I'm sorry, you're under arrest. Like, who are you?
Yeah.
But anyways, he takes her to the police station. When he parks, she instantly gets out of the car and runs into the police station, and he's changing. He's now starting to have another episode, and it ended up taking 12 police officers eventually, and two tranquilizers to take him down. Yeah.
Yep.
So then he would end up back at the hospital. He has to have they make him get all the tests, the MRIs and the CAT scans and everything like that, to eventually find out that there is no cause that they can see for what's happening. So they release him again.
At least
this was where the Warrens kept him.
At least they did test this time. Yeah. I mean, as opposed to just like, oh, all right, you look calm. Go ahead, take off.
Yeah, no, they definitely put in more effort this time. But now the Warrens would catch wind, and like I said, Ed Warren was a little hesitant because he didn't want to hurt the credibility. But the Warrens initially saw his story on TV and decided that they wanted to help. Sometime later, he and his wife would make their way to Connecticut, and he would undergo an exorcism. The exorcism was all on tape, all taped, and he broke free. I guess he was restrained. He broke free, and when the Bishop Robert McKenna commanded the demon to leave his body, he attacked him. He said he was superhuman strong, and then took off for good.
So, yeah. So, pretty like him and the wife flew all the way to Connecticut for this, under the suggestion of Ed and Lorraine, and for this exorcism. So he knew it was obviously problematic to make a trip like that. An exorcism, I mean, even if you know nothing, or you only have like cursory sort of familiarity to an exorcism, you know that they're not pleasant. So he knew something's going on, and he knew that he needed a change. But it's kind of crazy because I was reading, they said like the first half hour of the exorcism, he the priest speaking in Latin and everything, and they said he was uninterested, nothing. And then it didn't say what in the notes or the when I was looking it up, I didn't see what changed, but they said like right after the half hour mark is when the change started happening again. And then like it got into like this, what you said, the attacking the bishop before just disappearing. So I guess I went the long way to ask this. It's all on tape. Do you know if there's a way we could watch that? Do you know?
I don't know, actually. That
would be really cool if there was like some sort of way we could watch that.
There's gotta be. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull up my. Yeah, because I mean, I'm interested.
Yeah, definitely. I would totally. I mean, like I said, I saw the one still from it, where he had his hands like in sort of that towel, and his lip was curled in that sort of rabid manner that they people had described him as. But I just wasn't sure if there was a way, because that would be really really interesting. I would love to see, like, because I've only, as far as exorcism goes, I only see the Hollywood versions of the exorcisms. I'd love to see an actual, how it goes, and kind of see what his behavior was like too.
Yeah, well, I guess they showed, and I don't know if it was real, but supposedly they showed some of the real footage from different exorcisms in the different Conjuring movies. I don't know if that happened to be one of them, but makes me kind of think maybe.
Yeah, it could have been. I didn't know that they actually used real footage. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know how true it is. Like I said, it's obviously it's hearsay until one of them is actually like, yeah, we were here and whatnot. But yeah, I see a lot of like kind of makeshifty looking videos. I feel like that's something I'll dive deeper in and see if I can find something, and we can always post a link later too.
Yeah. I think that would be fun. I would even fun watch it, and we record some commentary as we're watching it or something. That might be fun for people to see
Cool.
Our reactions as we're watching it. Yeah. I was just curious because I was thinking about it. I was like, that might be kind of cool. So
it would be, actually. It's a great idea, though. I like the thought of watching it with some commentary, or filming it and having commentary. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
All right. So he did, they said he just disappeared at the end of that exorcism. And then after that, I only have like one sort of little note that he made one final sort of public appearance in 1992. Seemed okay as far as what I read, and you may have differing. And then really hasn't been heard to since.
Yep, that's what I had.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. So thoughts. Look, what are your thoughts here on this?
Well, I don't know. Everything about this, I love this. I love lycanthropy. I love werewolf movies. I love all of that. I love the whole origin of it. But all I can kind of think is I feel like it was some sort of a possession, but no one said that they saw like the fur or anything like that. So he was just, his body was mutating without the full transformation. But if you go back to like all the gypsy lore about werewolves and lycanthropy and all that stuff, they talk about the wolf being in them.
Okay.
Not they are the wolf. The wolf, well, sometimes they are the wolf, but the wolf is in them and then it comes out. So it really is like almost like another entity is in there. And I go back to when he woke up in the middle of the night hearing something, and it was him, and just how that could possibly work. I really feel like there was something else inhabiting him.
That makes sense too. And then even like when he's in the bar and he looks in the mirror and he sees a werewolf. And because that's like when I read that, I'm like going back, and it's like, because there's so much about the brain we don't know, and psychological disorders and stuff like that. What could that be though, where he looks in the mirror and he sees a werewolf, but for all intents and purposes, it's he goes back out there and nobody sees him as a werewolf yet, and so yeah, I don't know. It's like my mind spirals trying to think, because obviously with all this stuff, like I've said, I say ad nauseum about myself, is like I want all of it to be real, but I'm sort of a skeptic, and so I'm always trying to find the scientific way. In reality, I say find it, but really I'm trying to think about all the scientific ways and then discredit them, because I do want them to be real. But it's like that's where my brain goes, and like a psychological. But I don't know what could do that. And then where he sees it, and then to go further beyond that and start actually showing these characteristics of a wolf or a werewolf, and it just like that's no sort of psychological disorder that I've ever read about.
No, neither. It's, I mean, I guess they threw around the possibility of schizophrenia and the fact, schizophrenia, but they really tried to blame it on a mental disorder, but nothing they said could at all describe or explain why he was able to disfigure himself like that. And anybody who saw him in that state, no one said, "Oh, it just looked like he was hunched over." No, they said it looked like he transformed. And I can't think of anything at all that would explain that.
Yeah, because I had read about, a lot of like the comments about that snarl that he would get, and that, everybody was just like, it was unnatural and seemed rabid the way he would snarl his lip, and and show his teeth, that it was just it was just unnatural. So yeah, it's like I can't like you can kind of, like, for me personally, I can kind of see like, oh, okay, I could attribute this part of it to something, this part of it, but when looking at it as a whole, nothing sort of makes 100% sense aside from some sort of possession. Or now a possession, okay, so a possession is an entity within you or whatever, but lycanthropy is that you're actually turned into a werewolf, right? So and Ed and Lorraine treated it as a possession. Now, I wonder what entity are they pulling out of him that, I don't know.
I have a hard time with, I struggle with the possession. That part of it, I feel like there's something else in there, but I don't know that I 100% think it was like a demon, or I don't feel like it was your standard one, because they're not going to stay in a body for 30 years and do something 3 times.
Yeah.
I feel like they'll be much more productive or whatever. But what gets me, the only other thing I think might possibly help explain some of what they saw is, we got to remember too that the people that saw this were terrified. They were absolutely terrified. So I guess that could enhance what they thought they saw, but I still don't. I don't know. I struggle with the possession, and I don't know that it would be so not constant. I don't know.
Yeah, this one's a real head scratcher. It's as far as like, because nothing with my and I will freely admit my limited knowledge, just nothing seems to 100% fit, and it just it's just like, was he? What you said about, what about lycanthropy, and that it's the werewolves within you, that kind of stuck with me, because that's, to me, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but that sort of makes the most sense to me with this whole situation.
No, it is. It's crazy to think that, but it's really literally the only thing that fits.
Wow. Well, I do hope we can find even if it's just clips or something of the possession, because that got me really curious, and I'd love to sort of see it, in action, and especially what he does with his hands, what he does with the shoulders hunched, like you said. And
I want to see his face, and
it's fine. Yeah, that's that's quite. It's quite the story, the South End Werewolf. I mean, and I had a lot of fun researching this one. I did.
It's such a cool story. I love it. It's just so neat. It's not like anything else. Everything else is a demon. The devil is a werewolf. It's just so neat.
Yeah, it's very, it's definitely our first episode on a werewolf or lichen. I mean, that's
Mhm.
yeah. I mean, I have fun doing all of them, but this was very, very, very fun. I'm glad we decided to talk about this week because
Me too.
yeah. So, did you have anything else you wanted to mention on the South End Werewolf?
No, I don't think so.
So, all right. And Roy can edit as he needs. So, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in this week, and make sure to tune in next week where we'll be talking the Cecil Hotel Cecil or Cecil Hotel. Seen it both ways. Out in out in Los Angeles. I'm going to take that one more time. I said about 500 times. So, thank you guys for watching, and please make sure to tune in next week when we discuss the Cecil Hotel in LA. If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel. Also, you can check us out at, here we go, www.podpage.com/The Reaper Paranormal Show. Drop us a message, drop us a line. Also, our email is parareaper01@gmail. If you're interested in us doing an investigation, our RPI team, we will gladly do so. Or check us out on any of the social media sites. You can find a lot of our stuff under Geek Perspective, which is sort of our parent company of for this podcast. So check it out, and make sure to like and subscribe on this video. Well, for Shay and myself, thank you for watching, guys, and catch us next week. Thanks, guys.
Bye.